Now, I know what you're thinking. What is this stupid, fat English guy going to tell me about Jeff Hanneman? I'm going to tell you a lot. My name is unimportant, but the name of the guy we're here to pay tribute to tonight is extremely important. Not only was he one of the best guitar players to ever play in metal, he was in one of the greatest bands to ever walk this fucking planet. And he also just happened to be one of the genre's greatest ever riff writers, period. Up there with Hanneman. Let's see, South of Heaven, Dead Skin Mask, Raining Blood, Angel of Death, Seasons in the Abyss, Bloodline, Mandatory Suicide. Those are just a few of the great riffs Jeff Hanneman wrote, and that's why we're here today. So I know that one of the most famous chants in music is Slayer, Slayer, Slayer. Do me a favor, do me a huge favor, change it up to this. Hanneman! So on behalf of the entire Slayer organization, Jeff's friends, and most of all his family, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon to celebrate one of the greatest lives that metal has ever had the joy of living with you. And let's get this straight, this is a celebration. This isn't about tears, this is about getting sad. That said, I'm the biggest wimp on the planet, so I'll probably shed a few tears tonight, but just throw shit at me if I do, okay? Now what's going to happen today is very simply this. A bunch of people who knew Jeff very well are going to get up and speak. We're also going to show a video montage, we're going to play some cool music, and let's just make a lot of noise throughout this. Let's celebrate Jeff's life. So I guess I should kick off with my Slayer story. Don't hold this against me, but in the mid-80s I formed a band called Grim Reaper. Woo! They sucked! They sucked!
Rock you to hell!
And we had the honor of doing an American tour in 1984, and about 4 days in we did a show in the summer in Texas. The opening band was a band called Exciter, and then we co-headlined with 4 dudes from Huntington Park, California. Their names were Dave, Tom, Kerry, and Jeff. And I gotta tell you, I don't mind admitting it, they changed my life. It was one of those redefining moments. I thought I knew what heavy metal was. I was fucking wrong, I had no clue. I thought I knew how to play fast. I was fucking wrong, I had no clue. I thought we were aggressive, we weren't even close. These guys unleashed the fucking rage on stage that I've never seen before, and we'll probably never see again with the exception of maybe Pantera. And I walked off that stage a different man. We didn't change what we did, but I had a newfound respect for 4 guys from Huntington Park called Slayer. And that respect has just grown over the years. Then in 1986 they released an album called Raining Blood. And that just proved to me that what I'd seen was the rule, not the exception. These guys were always that good. There was no flash in the pan. Slayer's worst show is better than anyone's best show on this planet. And I've never seen them do a bad show, ever. Anyway, fast forward to the mid-90s. By that time, to the great content of most people, Grim Reaper was dead and buried. We'd moved on. But Slayer had just grown. Slayer had grown by epic proportions. And I started working for a magazine called Guitar World. You see that one over there with Jeff on the front? And I used to do lessons with people like Slayer. And I was honored that they sent me out now a few of them 4 times to do Slayer riff lessons with Kerry and arguably Jeff. Trouble is, Jeff never fucking showed up. Not once. Once he was in a bar, I believe, and gave me a toast. But he never showed up, so it was just me and King, and we had a blast. And I didn't really get to know Jeff for that reason until 2002, which was Marshall's 40th anniversary. I worked for Marshall Amplification, these fine things that Slayer stand in front of right here. So anyway, the reason we invited Slayer was very simple. We have a lot of great endorsees: AC/DC, Iron Maiden, Motorhead, Zakk Wylde, Slash, but none of those guys, as great as they are, ever represented us like Slayer do. From the video in front of the pyramids right the way through to today, there's a minimum of 24 Marshall cabinets on every fucking Marshall stage, and every stage is Slayer playing. And can you remember those upside down crucifixes? How cool were those? So anyway, I got to drink with Jeff and got to know him. He was a very shy but funny guy. And after about 5 drinks, I said, "Look, Jeff, do I smell something? How come you never showed up for the guitar lessons?" And he very simply said, "Look, Nick, no offense, I like playing guitar, I don't like talking about it, I like writing riffs, I don't like explaining them, and I also like to collect World War II memorabilia." And he also liked to have a couple of drinks, so that was my Jeff story. I'm going to say something now because I think it's appropriate. What's that guy saying? Have another drink, buddy. I'm going to bring up a man now who you could argue it's all his fault. Mr. Brian Slagle from Metal Blade Records. Come on, Brian. Let's hear it for Brian!
Thanks, Nick. That was awesome. Grim Reaper's cool, by the way.
Yeah!
Oh, boy. First of all, so awesome to see all you guys out there, all the fans. Thanks so much for coming out. This is really cool, and just a show of love from everybody in this room, everybody up here, everybody up there. Really, truly amazing. It's not really my fault, but about over 30 years ago, I went to go see a band by the name of Bitch at a club in Orange County, California. And one of the bands opening for them was this band called Slayer. And I got to the club, and I got there early enough to see them, and because I always like to check out what bands were happening before the main band came on. And the name was pretty cool, so I was standing there, and they went on stage, and my jaw literally just dropped open. They played mostly cover tunes at that point. There's a couple of originals, but what they were doing on stage, what those 4 guys were doing up on stage was something really amazing to me. I felt something just click in my head, like, wow, this is really cool. And so I went backstage afterwards and talked to the guy who was their manager, and Jeff and Carrie and a couple of guys. I think I might have talked to the band a long time ago. Anyway, said I had this compilation album, I'd love to have them on, and this, that, and the other thing happened, and we ended up having them on the compilation and doing a record with them as well. First record, of course, we did was Show No Mercy. One of the amazing things about being in the studio for that was watching Jeff. Jeff was really a young kid, very shy, didn't say a whole lot. But in the studio, he was just playing unbelievable stuff. I mean, all 4 of those guys were playing unbelievable stuff. And I remember one night, like, Jeff had done a bunch of guitar parts for this record, and it sounded really good. And he left, and I looked at Bill Matour, who was here, the engineer, and I would just kind of looked at each other and shook our heads, like, wow, that was really amazing. Such an unbelievable player. Really back then, you had a feeling that something special was happening when we were making that record, but I don't think any of us, certainly I didn't realize how special that would really become. Again, just so amazing. It went on to, Hello Waits we did as well. On in the Chapel as well we did. And it was just a real honor to work with those guys and watch them play and see Jeff you know, as he's writing this just unbelievable metal stuff. That really, when you sit back and look at all the stuff he wrote, not only, you know, all the way up through his career, just amazing stuff. I mean, some of the stuff really changed the course in the history of metal. I don't know if people really, when you take a step back and really look at the songs that he wrote, it's a pretty impressive amount of stuff that he did. Really amazing. Awesome. So, you know, Jeff as a person, too, was a really good guy. As Nick mentioned, he was a little shy, but he did like to have a couple of drinks. He was also a huge sports fan. As you know, from him wearing his Raiders gear all the time on stage. Cheer for the Raiders, right? So we talked a lot about the Raiders. And, also talked a lot about carried by the Raiders as well. Unfortunately, they didn't do so well some of the time, but they did well a lot of the time, too. Jeff also became a big hockey fan, too. Big LA Kings fan. I was really lucky, as the Kings were going to the Stanley Cup last year, I was really lucky to be able to get Jeff some tickets. He called me up and said, hey, do you think there's any way you can get me a couple of playoff tickets? I said, yeah, let me see what I can do. So I was able to pull a couple of strings and got him some playoff tickets. And he was super happy, and we're talking about the games. I think they won both games he went to at that point. He's super happy. So then the Kings, by some miracle, and those of us who are Kings fans realize that this is a miracle, they went all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. Which never in our lifetime could any of us imagine that was going to happen. So Jeff called me one day and said, hey, you got me those playoff tickets. You think you can get me Stanley Cup Final tickets? Well, let me see what I can do. And I actually, as luck would have it, a friend of mine who works for the Kings had called me up maybe hours after Jeff had asked me about it and said, hey, I got a couple tickets to Stanley Cup Finals. You want them? I go, that's a dumb question. Of course. So anyway, I got the tickets, and I actually had to be out of town, so I gave the tickets to Jeff. He went to the game. I remember talking to him afterwards, and he was so thrilled that they had won the game. And one of the last times I talked to Jeff, he was after the Kings had won, and he was super happy. So always remember that. I was really happy I was able to get him those tickets and enjoy the game. So really amazing. So a couple people have asked me, like, you know, what's like one memory of Jeff you have, or, you know, there's so many of them it's impossible to say. Just being around again in those early days was phenomenal. But I remember one of the things that still gives me goosebumps today was seeing him. Any of you guys go to the Big Four show out in Indio? Awesome show, right? One image that I'll never forget was Jeff coming up at the end of the show when they did Sound of Heaven. It still gives me goosebumps today, just a phenomenal moment. So anyway, we're here for Jeff. Phenomenal guy, an amazing musician, obviously touched everybody in this room. Nothing really more I can say other than, you know, we miss you, brother. And Ronnie, Dime, and Jeff must be having an amazing jam right about now. Thanks again, everybody, for coming out, and let me share a couple of stories here, and all for Jeff. Mr. Bocon.
Brian Slagle, come on! Okay, I believe we have another speaker somewhere, and I hope I don't fuck his name up. From American Recordings. You know who played, you know who put their albums out on American Recordings. Will you welcome Dino Paredes? Come on, Dino Paredes!
That's Kirkland. Kirkland and Bragg.
Yeah, Dino!
Thanks, everybody. First and foremost, my condolences to Kathy, Rick Sales, Nick John, Crystal Darren, Slayer family. I'm sorry, I'm not a loudspeaker. I'm sorry, I'm extremely nervous. To Carrie, brother, I'm sorry, I love you. I'm going going to apologize a little bit because I'm pretty emotional, and so I'm sorry if this takes a while and I break down. I started working for Rick Rubin at American Recordings 19 years ago, and didn't know that one of the eventual things I'd be doing was working with Slayer. And when I found out, I was petrified. They're just a little intimidated. And having been a fan, I just didn't know how to handle it. So, over the years, I had what became an incredible honor to work with these guys and make records with them and be with them and their families. And it was an amazing experience I'll never forget. And we'll go forward and do it again in Jeff's honor. We all know what an amazing talent Jeff was, and we're all grateful for that. And I'm sure Jeff would be really thankful to see this many people show up for this. He wasn't the most outgoing guy sometimes. If he didn't know you, he was pretty shy. But he would be touched. And I can tell you that he'd probably be cracking a joke because Jeff was a really funny guy. And a lot of people didn't know that. He had an amazing sense of humor. And would always find a way to crack a joke at probably the wrong time. But we all kind of liked it. He's a very unique guy. I was talking with somebody earlier. Jeff did things his way no matter what. We could be in the studio. And that could be from his personal life to in the studio. Jeff only did what Jeff wanted to do. And there are very few artists that live by that credo that can actually only do what they believe in that much. And Jeff is that guy. It was an amazing thing, but also frustrating. But at the end of the day, I had an immense amount of respect for that because he stood by what he believed in through and through. And that's a rare thing in this day and age. We all know the work that Jeff did, and we all love it. I would say to people, there's an amazing record we put out a few years back called World Painted Blood. And that was Jeff. That was Jeff really, really stepping it up. And I love all the records, but my personal affinity to that is of Jeff coming into the studio with parts and being excited, being creative, and really just bringing really amazing music to the rest of us. So I tell people, we all know Rain and Blood, we all know South of Heaven. I tell them, go back and listen to World Painted Blood because there's a lot of Jeff in there. There's a lot of his heart and soul in there. And that's the last thing we have of Jeff alive, forever alive. So please, do that. I was emailing with management and Slayer's publicist the day after, and Heidi Robinson, our publicist, had written something really beautiful, and I was having a hard time with getting my thoughts together. And what I did is I wrote something, and I sent it out to just management and Heidi as an internal thing, and I think that it might be good to read right now because I don't know how else to say a lot. Except that I miss Jeff. I love being with him and working with him. We've always had fun, even when he's being a pain in my ass. We always had fun. We could argue and bicker about recordings, everything, but always with respect and with love, and it always was good. So, here's what I wrote. And this, the first line is very true, and I apologize again, but I admit to being a very emotional person, so I apologize in advance if this gets a little too heavy. The news that my friend Jeff Hanneman passed away yesterday has hit me like a ton of bricks. It's a profound loss for me, and for many around me. The Slayer family is a very close group of people whose lives have been touched by these extremely talented men. And now we have lost one of these men. So we've lost one of our patriarchs of our family. I have had the incredible fortune to work with Slayer and Jeff for many, many years. And it has been nothing short of a true pleasure. Even at our darkest and most frustrating moments, we knew that what we were working on was important and well worth it, and that strengthens the family when we get through it. We were at that point recently as we began to prepare to finish the record we began making a little over a year ago. And the excitement was building because it was that time again. Being that time again meant spending every day in the studio with Slayer for long hours, sometimes working, sometimes waiting, sometimes just hanging out. And there would be difficult times, and we didn't always get along, but that was okay. It didn't matter. We were a family, and we'd get through it and come out with another great record. And that's what mattered. I realized that making the record is and was such an important thing, but I also think that it was equally important to spend important time with the guys I loved as friends. And I really do love these guys, I mean it. Jeff is a friend that I love very much. Not being able to have those times again will leave a hole in me. And I'll attempt to fill that hole with the many memories I have of him. And I'll do everything in my power to ensure his legacy. One of my favorite memories is the last time Jeff shared the stage with Slayer at the Big Four show in India. And it was typical Jeff. He'd been battling and recovering from the flesh-eating virus that almost destroyed his right arm. He was a very private person and had stayed out of the limelight during this battle. So when he decided to play a couple songs as a surprise, we were all very excited. Definitely. Jeff was self-conscious about how his arm now looked, and he was wearing a long-sleeve shirt. And right before he walked on stage, he said, "Fuck it," and tore the right sleeve off his shirt. He walked on stage to a thunderous ovation. And after he walked on stage, he raised his right arm defiantly and showed the world what he had. And that was Jeff. He had a way of doing great things his own way. He'll be in my heart forever. I'll never forget him. And we've lost a great one. So these things suck, you guys. It's horrible being here for this reason. But we learn something from this, and that's that we can lose people suddenly, and you never get them back.
I know how you feel.
We all have somebody we've lost, and it hurts. So I was talking to people and friends as I was preparing for this, and I realized that something I've always said is that you never know if today's your last day with somebody or not. And make sure that you let them know that you care about them, how you feel about them, because you may not have a chance again. And I didn't have that chance with Jeff, unfortunately. Our recent discussions have been about making a record, writing songs. But we all have people we love here. I've got friends here who I care about deeply, that mean the world to me. And these people down here. And I hope they know I love them very much. And we can all learn from this, and let's just all try to be a little bit nicer to each other, a little bit kinder to each other. Because that is heart and soul. Jeff was a very kind person, and he would have liked that. Thank you.
Let's hear it for Dino. I forgot to say one thing about Slayer before, and I should have said it, I apologise, I'm a smug, but I can't walk and shoot out at the same time. One of the coolest things about Slayer is that they're fucking Slayer. They never, ever, ever sold out, never have done, never will. That's another reason I love the band. Kerry once told me that he wanted them to be the AC/DC of heavy metal. They fucking are. Let's hear Slayer! Let's change that chant. I'm going to bring someone else up. Let's do this chant. Kerry fucking King!
I have my notes on my iPhone. So I'm going to open this bitch up. I want to say thanks to family and friends, but we are expected to be here. Wish you could have been under better circumstances. All you fans, thanks a lot for showing up. Means a lot. And we got a lot of history in this joint, you know? Me and Jeff got banned from this place for at least 20 years. So it's kind of ironic that we're having this here, and it's really, I think it's really cool. I haven't been in this building for a long time, but I got a lot of great memories here. I'm sure a lot of you guys share those with me. You know, I've got fun stories to tell because it's a celebration, right? You know, some of you guys probably know these stories, and I'm going to tell them anyway because not everybody knows them. And there's some I know you don't know, but we're going to have some fun with it. When I met Jeff, I went to I don't know what you said. When I met Jeff, I went to an audition for this band, and I was looking at a paper called The Recycler. You guys remember The Recycler? I don't even know if it still exists. I'm stupid, but you know, I used to get that thing religiously, like weekly. If you wanted to get in the band, you know, they had some pretty good ads in there, so you could look and, you know, see what was up. So I made this call. I went and auditioned for this band. It was really fucking horrible. And the good thing about it was Jeff worked in the lobby. Not lobby, the desk where you walk in, where the fuck it's called. And I saw him on the way in. I'm like, hey, dude, what's up? You know, talked for a second. I went in, played with these dudes that were clearly way too old for me and making up just horrible stuff. So I come out and Jeff's playing guitar. I went, that's very interesting. Yeah, I play guitar, and you know, he's playing songs that I know. Like way back then, it's like, you know, Def Leppard, Wasted, you know, Highway Star, old stuff, you know. And I'm like, you ever think about getting in a band? And you know, we exchanged numbers and talked on the phone, because that's what you did back then. And you know, it became history. It's such a funny story. I met him auditioning for another band.